The leaves blow light through the trees tonight, not a single one out of place. A village of lies and hatred, the Uchihas just disgraced. The wind is howling like this swirling storm inside. Couldn't keep it in, Itachi knows I tried. Don't let them in, don't let them see. Be the ninja you always have to be. Conceal, don't feel, don't let them know. Well, now they know. Let it go, let it go. Can't hold it back anymore. Let it go, let it go. An avenger forevermore. I don't care what they're going to say. Let the storm rage on. The team always bothered me anyway. It's funny how the time flies, and my view on things has changed. My brother once a traitor, now a hero simply estranged. It's time to see what I can do. From Susanoo to Amaterasu. No right, no wrong, no rules for me. I can see. Let it go, let it go. I'm a hawk flying through the sky. Let it go, let it go. I'll make the village cry. Here I stand, and here I'll stay. Let the storm rage on. My power flurries through the air into the ground. My soul is spiraling in my Sharingan all around. And one thought manifests into a fiery rage. Konoha, I'm coming back to push for a huge change. Let it go, let it go. And I'll rise like the break of dawn. Let it go, let it go. Bow down to my new Rinnegan. Here I stand in the dark night rain.